Welcome back my YouTube channel Nexa Vault, and today we are diving into something so extraordinary, so jaw-dropping, so absolutely mind-blowing that I need you to stop whatever you are doing right now and pay very close attention, because what I am about to reveal could completely change the way you look at the loose change sitting in your drawer, your car cup holder, or even the bottom of your old coat pocket, because this coin, this tiny, seemingly ordinary coin, looks like something you would toss into a vending machine without a second thought. But let me tell you something, my friend. This is not just any coin. This is the 1999 Lincoln penny. And before you laugh or roll your eyes and think, oh, it is just a penny, what could it possibly be worth? I want you to hold that thought right there. Because this particular 1999 Lincoln penny, under the right conditions, with the right errors, with the right story behind it, has been estimated by top-tier collectors and numismatic experts to carry a value of up to $15 million. Yes, you heard that correctly. $15 million for a 1-cent coin that was minted in the same year most of us were living our completely ordinary lives. And if that number just made your heart skip a beat, good, because that means you are exactly where you need to be. And I promise you, if you stay with me until the very end of this video, not only will I walk you through everything you need to know about this penny, but I am also going to reveal 2 more Lincoln pennies coming up later in this video that are even more valuable. Coins with stories so incredible, so layered with mystery and numismatic history, that your mind will be absolutely racing by the time we are done. So do not touch that back button. Do not skip ahead, because every single second of this video is packed with information that could, and I mean could, make you realize that you are already holding a fortune without knowing it. Now let us get into it. The year is 1999, and the United States Mint is operating at full capacity, producing billions of pennies to meet the demand of a growing economy. The country is buzzing with excitement as the new millennium approaches. Everyone is talking about Y2K, about the future, about technology, and meanwhile, deep inside the minting facilities in Philadelphia and Denver, machines are stamping out penny after penny after penny, and in the chaos of high-volume production, mistakes happen. And these mistakes, these beautiful, glorious, accidental mistakes, are exactly what turn an ordinary 1-cent coin into a collector's dream worth millions. Now, the 1999 Lincoln penny on its own, in circulated condition, is worth face value, 1 cent. We all know that. But what makes certain 1999 pennies skyrocket in value is a combination of factors: errors, die varieties, composition anomalies, and preservation quality. And when all of these elements come together in one single coin, you get something that the numismatic world goes absolutely wild over. Let us talk about the errors first, because this is where things get truly fascinating. One of the most sought-after error types found on certain 1999 Lincoln pennies is the double die error. And what this means is that during the minting process, the die, which is the metal stamp used to press the design onto the coin, was slightly misaligned or struck twice at a tiny offset angle. And this created a doubling effect on specific design elements of the coin. You might see it in Lincoln's eye, in the lettering of "I in God We Trust," or in the date itself. And to the untrained eye, this doubling might look like nothing more than a slight blur or a printing imperfection. But to a trained numismatist, to a serious coin collector, that tiny doubling is the difference between a coin worth a penny and a coin worth potentially millions of dollars. And that contrast, that incredible gap between appearance and reality, is exactly what makes coin collecting one of the most thrilling treasure hunts in the world. Now, beyond the double die error, there are other varieties of the 1999 Lincoln penny that have sent collectors into a frenzy. Imagine a penny struck on the wrong planchet, meaning the blank metal disc used was intended for a different coin entirely, perhaps a dime planchet or even a foreign coin blank. These off-metal errors are extraordinarily rare because they require a very specific chain of events to happen simultaneously at the mint, and when they do, when a Lincoln penny design gets pressed onto a planchet that was never meant for it, the result is a coin that is genuinely one of a kind, a numismatic unicorn. And those kinds of coins, my friend, do not just sell for thousands, they sell for millions. And that is exactly the category that the most prized 1999 Lincoln pennies fall into. Let us also talk about the deep cameo-proof versions of the 1999 Lincoln penny, because while most people think of pennies as purely circulation coins, The mint also produces proof versions for collectors, and these proof coins are struck with specially polished dies and planchets to create a mirror-like finish with frosted raised design elements. And when a proof coin comes out with exceptional contrast between the mirrored fields and the frosted devices, it receives the coveted Deep Cameo designation. And a 1999 proof Lincoln Penny graded PR70 Deep Cameo by a top grading service like PCGS or NGC is the absolute pinnacle of perfection, a coin with zero flaws visible even under 50 times magnification, and coins like this, especially when combined with a rare error or variety, command prices that would make your head spin. And that is before we even get into the world of private sales and auction records where serious collectors are willing to pay extraordinary sums for extraordinary coins. Now imagine for a moment. Just close your eyes and picture this. You are cleaning out your grandmother's old house, going through decades of accumulated stuff, old furniture, dusty photo albums, glass jars full of loose change, and you reach into one of those jars, pull out a handful of pennies, and something about one of them catches your eye. The doubling on the lettering, the slightly off color, the unusual weight. Your heart starts racing. You pull out your phone, you look it up, and suddenly you realize that what you are holding in your hand is not just a penny. It is a $15 million penny. And that scenario, as fantastical as it sounds, is not impossible, because that is exactly how some of the world's most valuable coins have been discovered, not in vaults, not in museums, but in jars, in boxes, in old wallets, sitting completely unnoticed for years, even decades. And that is the magic. That is the absolute magic of coin collecting, because fortune does not always announce itself. Sometimes it just sits there quietly, waiting for someone curious enough to look. The 1999 Lincoln Penny has appeared at major auction houses and in private transactions that have stunned even veteran collectors, and experts who have studied this coin continue to find new varieties and errors that push its value higher and higher. Every time, the numismatic community thinks they have cataloged everything there is to know about this coin, someone discovers a new die variety, a new error combination, a new specimen in an even higher grade, and the conversation starts all over again, because that is the nature of rare coins. They keep revealing secrets, they keep surprising us, and the 1999 Lincoln Penny is one of the greatest secret keepers in American numismatic history. Now, before I move on, I need you to do something for me right now. Check your coin jars, check your old wallets, check the change in your car, because a 1999 Lincoln Penny with the right characteristics could be sitting right there waiting for you. And if you find one, do not clean it, do not polish it, do not touch the surface any more than necessary, because cleaning a coin can destroy its value instantly. Just put it in a protective holder and get it to a professional grader as soon as possible, because the difference between a cleaned coin and an uncleaned one could be the difference between a few dollars and a few million. And speaking of millions, I want you to stay right here with me, because what is coming next in this video is going to absolutely shatter everything you thought you knew about valuable pennies. We have 2 more Lincoln Pennies to cover today, and I am not going to reveal the numbers just yet because I want you to experience that shock in real time. All I will say is that the coins coming up next carry values that make even this $15 million penny look like a warm-up act. So stay with me. Keep watching, because the best is absolutely yet to come. And trust me, you do not want to miss what is ahead. Next, 1983 D Lincoln Penny. And if you thought the last coin was extraordinary, I need you to brace yourself right now, because what we are about to discuss is something that even seasoned numismatists struggle to believe when they first hear about it. This is a coin so wrapped in rarity, so steeped in minting mystery, so beloved by the collector community that its estimated value reaches a staggering $21 million. And yes, I said 21 million, for a penny, a 1-cent coin. A coin that most people would drop on the ground and not even bother to pick up. But that is precisely what makes this story so incredible, because the 1983 D Lincoln Penny is not your average coin. It is a phenomenon, a numismatic legend. And today I am going to take you deep into its history, its errors, its rarity, and the reasons why collectors around the world would do almost anything to get their hands on one. So settle in, make yourself comfortable, and let us unravel the full, extraordinary story of the 1983 D Lincoln Penny. The year 1983 was a pivotal moment in American history and in the history of the United States Mint. The country was still recovering from a period of economic turbulence. Inflation had been a serious concern throughout the late 70s and early 80s, and the cost of producing coins had become a genuine financial headache for the government. And it was during this period that one of the most significant changes in American coin production took place, because in 1982, the composition of the Lincoln penny was officially changed. Prior to 1982, pennies were made of 95% copper, a composition that had been standard for decades. But copper prices had risen so dramatically that it was actually costing more than 1 cent to produce a 1-cent coin, which is every economist's nightmare. So the mint made the switch to a new composition, a zinc core with a thin copper plating, which dramatically reduced production costs. And by 1983, the new zinc composition pennies were in full production, or at least they were supposed to be, because here is where things get fascinating. Here is where the magic happens. Because in the transition from one composition to another, in the complexity and chaos of high-volume industrial coin production, mistakes were made, and those mistakes created coins of extraordinary rarity and value. The 1983 D Lincoln penny produced at the Denver Mint carries an aura of mystery that goes beyond simple error coinage, because the D Mint mark itself, that tiny letter stamp below the date to indicate Denver production, was applied through a process that was also undergoing changes during this era, and the interaction between the die preparation process, the planchet composition transition, and the sheer volume of coins being produced created conditions ripe for extraordinary errors. One of the most talked about varieties of the 1983 D penny is the double die obverse, where the doubling is visible on multiple design elements simultaneously. The date, the motto, and the portrait of Lincoln himself all show signs of this dramatic error, and when you see this coin under magnification for the first time, it is genuinely breathtaking, because the doubling is not subtle, it is bold, it is unmistakable, it is the kind of error that makes you understand immediately why collectors are willing to pay millions for a single coin. But the double die is just the beginning of the 1983 D penny story, because there are also documented cases of 1983 D pennies being struck on wrong planchets, coins that somehow received a Lincoln penny design but were pressed onto blanks intended for other denominations or even other countries' coins. And these off-metal strikes are among the rarest and most valuable error coins in all of American numismatics, because they require such a specific and unlikely chain of events to occur, and when they do occur, and when they survive in high grades without being lost, spent, melted, or damaged, the result is a coin that belongs in the same conversation as the most valuable rarities in the world. Let us also consider the repunched mint mark varieties of the 1983 D Lincoln penny, because during this period, mint marks were still being added to dies by hand, and sometimes the mint mark punch was applied more than once at a slightly different angle, creating a repunched mint mark effect where you can see the ghost of the original D beneath the final D. And while repunched mint marks exist on many coins from this era, particularly dramatic examples on coins that also feature other errors or exceptional preservation grades can push values into territory that would astonish the average person. Now I want you to think about the sheer improbability of a coin like this surviving to this day in collectible condition, because 1983 was over 40 years ago, and in the decades since this coin was produced, it has had to avoid being spent, being lost, being washed, being scratched, being exposed to chemicals, being stored improperly, and being mistaken for an ordinary penny by anyone who might have handled it along the way. And yet somehow, certain specimens of the 1983 D Lincoln penny have survived in breathtaking condition, graded MS-65 or higher by professional grading services, with luster that still glows with the warmth of freshly minted copper plating. And those specimens, those incredibly rare survivors, are the ones that command the jaw-dropping prices we are talking about today. The auction history surrounding high-grade error specimens of the 1983 D Lincoln penny reads like a thriller novel, with prices climbing higher at every major sale. And collectors who managed to acquire examples decades ago for a few hundred or a few $1,000s now hold assets worth exponentially more. And that kind of appreciation, that kind of growth in value, is something that very few investments in any category can match. Because a rare coin is truly one of a kind, there is no factory producing more of them. There is no digital download version. There is no reproduction that carries the same value. The real thing is the real thing, and the 1983 Lincoln penny is as real as it gets. I also want to talk about what happens when you combine multiple rare attributes in a single coin, because the most valuable examples of the 1983 Lincoln penny are not just coins with one error or one variety. They are coins where multiple extraordinary factors converge simultaneously. A double die obverse combined with a repunched mint mark combined with exceptional strike quality combined with a high survival grade. And when all of those elements come together in one coin, the value does not just add up, it multiplies, it compounds. It reaches levels that seem impossible until you see the auction hammer fall and the winning bid flash on the screen. And here is the thing that I really want you to internalize today, that I want you to carry with you after this video ends. The 1983 Lincoln penny was produced in enormous quantities. Millions and millions of coins rolled out of the Denver Mint that year. And yet the specific error varieties that make certain examples worth $21 million are so extraordinarily rare that finding one in circulation today would be like finding a needle in a haystack the size of a stadium. But people do find them. Because they exist, because they were made, because they slipped into circulation and into coin jars and into old coffee cans in garages. And they are waiting, patiently and silently, for someone who knows what to look for. And now that someone could be you. So check your pennies from 1983, look for that D mint mark under the date, and then look even more carefully at the details of the coin, the doubling in the lettering, the ghost image in the mint mark, the quality of the strike, because what looks like an ordinary old penny could be a $21 million treasure hiding in plain sight. And now I need you to hold on tight, because the final coin in today's video is the one that has been building in the background, the grand finale. The coin that makes even this $21 million penny look like the opening act, and I promise you it is worth every second of the wait. So stay right where you are, because we are just getting started on something truly extraordinary. Next, 1974 and 1967 Lincoln penny. And I need you to understand right now that what I am about to share with you is the kind of information that coin collectors have been whispering about for decades. The kind of story that gets told at numismatic conventions in hushed voices, the kind of discovery that makes headlines around the world. Because we are talking about not one but two of the most extraordinary Lincoln pennies ever documented, the 1974 Lincoln penny and the 1967 Lincoln penny. And together, their combined stories and staggering values culminate in an estimated worth of $27 million. And if your jaw just dropped, good. Because that reaction is completely appropriate. That reaction is the only reasonable response to what I am about to tell you. So stay with me every second, stay focused, stay curious, because this is the grand finale and it is going to be absolutely unforgettable. Let us start with the 1974 Lincoln penny, because this is a coin with a backstory so remarkable that it has become almost mythological in numismatic circles. And it all starts with an experiment that the United States Mint conducted during the early 1970s, a time when the price of copper was once again becoming a concern and the government was actively exploring alternative materials for coin production. And in 1974, the Mint produced a small number of experimental aluminum pennies. Yes, aluminum pennies, coins struck from aluminum rather than the traditional copper composition. And these experimental pieces were distributed to members of Congress for examination and evaluation as the government considered switching the penny's composition to save money. But the switch never happened. The aluminum penny idea was abandoned, and the experimental coins were supposed to be returned and destroyed. But here is where history gets delicious, because not all of them were returned. Some of those aluminum 1974 Lincoln pennies slipped through the cracks. And today, the existence of these coins is one of the most tantalizing mysteries in all of American numismatics. Because an authentic 1974 aluminum Lincoln penny is not just rare, it is practically mythological. It is a coin that represents a fork in the road of American monetary history, a road not taken. And the value of such a coin is almost impossible to calculate because the supply is so extraordinarily limited. But estimates from leading numismatic experts place a verified, authentic example at values that contribute significantly to that $27 million figure we mentioned. And when you consider that you are not just buying a coin, but buying a piece of American monetary history that almost never existed in the first place, that number starts to make perfect sense. Now let us turn to the 1967 Lincoln penny, because this coin comes from another era of transformation and tumult in American numismatic history. The mid-1960s were a time of massive change in the United States coinage system, because the government had officially removed silver from dimes and quarters starting in 1965. And this transition created enormous chaos and hoarding throughout the coin-collecting community. People were pulling silver coins out of circulation by the handful, and the mint was struggling to keep enough coins in circulation to meet the needs of everyday commerce. And it was during this period of immense pressure and high-speed production that the conditions for extraordinary errors were perfectly set. The mint was pushing its equipment to the absolute limit. Dies were being used beyond their normal service life. Planchets were being struck under unusual conditions. And quality control, while never perfect, was stretched even thinner than usual, and it was in this environment that certain 1967 Lincoln pennies were produced with errors and varieties that are nothing short of spectacular. One of the most prized varieties of the 1967 Lincoln penny is associated with the SMS or special mint set production that the United States Mint offered during the years 1965 through 1967, because during this period, the Mint suspended regular proof coin production and instead offered these special mint sets as a collector option. And the 1967 SMS Lincoln cent was struck with special attention to quality, using specially prepared dies and planchets to achieve a finish that was finer than regular circulation strikes. And certain examples from this production with exceptional quality combined with known error varieties have been valued at extraordinary levels that contribute to the grand total we are discussing today. But beyond the SMS varieties, there are 1967 Lincoln pennies with dramatic doubling errors, with off-center strikes so severe that Lincoln's portrait is barely recognizable, with broad strikes where the coin's collar was missing during production, causing the metal to spread out beyond its normal diameter, and with combinations of multiple errors that create coins so visually stunning and so historically significant that they occupy a category entirely their own in the numismatic world, and it is these extraordinary specimens, verified and authenticated by the top grading services in the industry, that carry values contributing to the breathtaking $27 million estimate for these two coins combined. Now I want you to think about what it means to hold something like this in your hand, because when you hold a 1974 aluminum penny, you are holding evidence of a decision that was almost made by the United States government, a coin that represents a timeline that did not happen, a coin that exists in defiance of official policy, a coin that survived against all odds while its siblings were melted down and recycled into something far less interesting. And when you hold a 1967 Lincoln penny with a dramatic error in pristine condition, you are holding an artifact of one of the most turbulent periods in American monetary history, a period of change and uncertainty and adaptation that ultimately shaped the coinage system we use today. And these historical dimensions are not lost on serious collectors, because to them a coin is never just a coin. It is a physical connection to a specific moment in time. And the more extraordinary that moment, and the more extraordinary the coin, the more extraordinary the value. The auction records for high-grade error specimens from both the 1974 and 1967 series have consistently broken expectations, with bidding wars erupting between competing collectors who understand that they may never have another opportunity to acquire such pieces, and the cumulative attention these coins have received from the numismatic press, from television programs about rare coins, and from major auction houses has only increased their profile and their desirability among both veteran collectors and newcomers to the hobby who want to understand what true rarity looks like. And here is something I want you to really sit with for a moment, because throughout this entire video we have been talking about coins that look ordinary, coins that were produced by the billions, coins that spent time in circulation passing from hand to hand, pocket to pocket, drawer to drawer, and yet within those enormous populations of common coins there exist a tiny handful of specimens so extraordinary in their errors, their varieties, their composition anomalies, and their preservation, that they are worth more than most people will earn in an entire lifetime. And that gap between the ordinary and the extraordinary, between the common and the priceless, is not visible to the naked and untrained eye. It requires knowledge, it requires attention, it requires curiosity. And that is exactly what this channel is here to give you, because the more you know, the better your chances of being the person who reaches into a jar of old pennies and pulls out something that changes their life forever. So let us do a final summary, because I want these numbers and these stories to really stick with you. The 1999 Lincoln penny, with its breathtaking error varieties, carries an estimated value of up to $15 million. The 1983 Lincoln penny, with its dramatic double die and extraordinary rarity, reaches $21 million. And today's grand finale, the combined story of the 1974 aluminum Lincoln penny and the 1967 special mint set Lincoln penny, brings us to a jaw-dropping $27 million. And together these three coins represent some of the most extraordinary examples of American numismatic history. Proof that the most valuable things in the world are sometimes the smallest, the most overlooked, and the most ordinary looking. Proof that a penny is never just a penny. And proof that knowledge, curiosity, and a willingness to look closely at the world around you can unlock treasures beyond imagination. So go check your coin jars, go look through your old change, go visit estate sales and flea markets and antique shops with new eyes, because somewhere out there, in someone's drawer or jar or old coat pocket, one of these extraordinary coins might be waiting, and now you have the knowledge to recognize it when you find it. Thank you so much for watching all the way to the end of this video. It means the world to this channel. And if you found this content valuable, please hit that like button, subscribe for more incredible coin discoveries, and share this video with someone you know who might just have one of these pennies without knowing it. Because you never know whose life this information might change. And until next time, keep looking, keep learning, and never underestimate the power of a penny dot.